and to the Republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Sure. Dorfler is not here. Sprick,
Here.
Giacomo, here. Ferraro, Kerber, Norris, and Zavala.
Here.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I motion.
There's a second,
Second.
Council discussion. All in favor? And next we have a oral proclamation for
Well, good evening, everybody. As most of you know, last year, towards the end of the year, Lisa Anata served as our finance director, designed to pursue other opportunities. And we didn't get a chance to properly send her off for the end of the year. She's busy working on the budget and making sure she left us in great shape. She did a fantastic job, leaving us in good shape to handle. So tonight, unfortunately, we have the play as Kid Council, where 3 folks are out tonight. But we do want a chance to publicly thank Lisa and provide her with compliment. Just get over here. Lisa did a fantastic job at a time where we went without a borough manager. She served as one of the 3 department heads to help lead things during the time, implemented many new systems and tools for the finance department that were greatly needed, and really worked hard to improve the transparency during the budget process, getting things online, making them available, and really made it a huge. So I'll read the proclamation for you. Honoring Lisa Anata, our finance director for the Borough of Penn Square from 2017 through 2022. Whereas Lisa Anata served as the finance director for the Borough of Penn Square from April 24th of 2017 through December 2nd, 2022. And whereas Lisa Anata played an integral role in the borough's finance department and annual budget and in the administration of the human resources program of the Borough of Penn Square. Whereas Lisa Anata has been involved in the community for many years. And whereas the Borough of Penn Square staff and citizens wish to show appreciation and acknowledgement to Lisa Anata for her service to the Borough of Penn Square. Now, therefore, I am acting as the Mayor of Borough of Penn Square on this 9th day of January 2023, by the virtue and the authority of the Borough Code of Pennsylvania, pursuant to state and federal law, hereby express heartfelt thanks and accommodations to Lisa Anata for her dedicated service to the Borough of Penn Square and her commitment to make the borough a thriving and inclusive community.
So moving on to public comment, we encourage all those speaking to complete their comments with the beginning, stay on topic, present your comments in the spirit of cooperation, and be respectful of the institution of the council. Words, tone, and please comply with any instructions that might give you during this. Thank you.
John Thomas for question. First of all, I'd like to thank this probably closest person the public to get transparent stuff. It's very helpful to a lot of people who just call her in. She's going to be missed. I don't like to talk about people behind. Obviously, half the council out here, which I don't understand. Somebody die and sick. You make commitments. Last meeting that we were attending to was very, I found it very disgusting. And the reason I found it disgusting was you had council people in there that were trying to sell property. They knew nothing about. And I will tell these individuals again, or I'll bring it up next time they're here. But I don't like to talk, but it's got to be said. One of your council people rents to a guy who's trying to sell a building to, family. He is an investor. He's not a seller of real estate and talk like he was, which is not his business to do. Your job is to get the most money you can for a property. And he was on committees with this individual he was pushing. And then he said something like, I'm 0 for 1, let's see if we can go for 2. He's not 0 for anything. He's supposed to do his job. He didn't do his job. And the other thing about that is that he's involved with too many things. And I don't care what anybody advises you, he's got conflict of interest all over the place. And the other thing that since last meeting I found out that you people have lied to the public. I spent 6-7 months, almost a year, talking about the Kenneth Township sewer. You announced, beginning to announce Russ to get up and say the figures and that figures come out with $1 million. That proved to be not true. Then we tried to get other information. And then we agreed to contract with null and void. You're still using the same damn contract. This cost us millions of dollars now because we could have forced people that were going commercial to pay for our sewer. Why you're giving us 318? I thought it was null and void. Terrible contract, badly written, illegally written as far as I'm concerned, and it doesn't help the taxpayer. And you people are just, after I stopped talking about it, you ignored the public. We thought the contract was null and void because you guys announced it was null. Now, if you were going to fight them and get in a lawsuit, that's one thing, you announced that. But you just went ahead and did what you said you weren't going to do. Where's the transparency in this government? I mean, you could have the biggest sewer plant in the world. If your pipes won't hold the sewer, you can't get it to the sewer plant. And we can't keep filling up our pipes that are old and have them break, and it costs us money. We've got to get money out of the township. You garden, anybody that's using our sewer, say, look, we'll give you sewer, but we gotta have maintenance on our we gotta push the side of our pipe. It's done everywhere in the country. We're not so real bad. It's done in Harrisburg, it's done in every couple different states. You can do it. You keep telling us, Bob keeps telling how broke we are, which every small town in the world has got 3/4 of the sewer plant has the same problem, infrastructure. Most little towns. It's not unusual. I get tired of hearing about this $40 million. We've owed $40 million for years. What we owe is what we owe, 18, that's improvement. And when I was on council, I tried to get 2 blocks a year. That would have been 40 blocks done by then. 2 blocks a year. 40 blocks. But I was on council very much like this. It's controlled by 2 or 3 people. And you gotta realize you're equal to everybody. There's nobody got more power than anybody else in the council. If you disagree, you have a right to disagree. If you want to push an agenda, you have a right to push an agenda. And I don't care how strong somebody is, if they are, you gotta fight. You're fighting for the town, you're not fighting for yourself. Fighting for the people.
Mr. Thomas,
Magnolia Street, Square. Well said, John. But I did it a little bit more deep, a little bit more stinging. Because the bottom line is, we don't have anybody out there working for us. We always say big government start. I say it's my cliche. Big government starts at the local level. But I don't know if you saw the national level this week. I hear that little thing you read don't mean a thing to me. Because I still have my civil rights in America. And you see how you will participate in making me have that, the security for me. NAACP did it, and everybody else did it. It was a speech. Read those amendments. So you can read all you want when your little feelings get hurt, it's too bad. But if you saw Washington this week, I didn't see anybody staying calm. 15 times they were trying to get the man in there. And those people were emotional. Those people were very much spirited. Anything you want to say. You're so busy trying to control somebody's demeanor that you don't even understand the content of the political scene that you're working in. Number one, we didn't get a budget presented to us. And I have a great problem with that. You all failed to have the budget sent to us. We heard Bob Norris say, we need a certain amount of money. That's all we heard. I even said I'd like to see a pie chart. We've never had to go through, and I read the paper that's 17.5 or something like that, and not seeing it up here or getting a copy of it also. To see what happened in 2020, 2021, 2021, 2022, and projection for 2023. You failed us. Each one of them. Each one of you didn't want those teachers and social workers to move here, to show you're discriminatory. Each one of you just said that when a minority parent came here, that they couldn't speak, but you have perfect strangers from all over to speak your rule of life. You failed us. And if you don't have sense to correct each other, we got a problem. And you are a big problem, each one of you. When I see a man sit here and negotiate a price, and it's not going to stop you. You can't do that with public money, public property. You have to advertise that. It has to have a step window of advertising. What the man say, can you do 300? What the people said 375? He said, can you do 385? This is no daggone auction. It's supposed to be fair competition in being able to get the bids and a democratic way of choosing. And we're supposed to get the most for our money. That property idea was sold illegal right in front of us, and none of you stopped that. But you did stop the police station, one of them. I saw that. Because it should be open on the market, because you have people in the public asking me about what's going on here, because there's people out there interested in buying it. And it's not the same two people who are buying up on the street in Burke Street. There are other people who have ideals for this town. But I will tell you this, once I've seen that mess you got going on Cypress Street. We can't stand another development in this town. No matter how much the realtors and developers tell you, we want to get this many number of people in. And the other day with that gas leak that I could taste on in my house, there was so much traffic. There's already a lot of traffic on our town. We have on our side of town. We've never had. There was even more. It was just constant. It was like it was in Philadelphia. Constant. Trucks everything. I understand when you have an emergency, you have to, divert the traffic. But what you don't understand, on a daily basis, we have too much traffic down there. I used to be able to know who went out at 4 in the morning. When it was Ed down the street going to work, at the Picasso. The next person was usually my husband, because he works swing shift. We could tell. We can't tell now when the cars are starting at 4 in the morning. You need to start thinking about that. We can't have no more development. And I swear, and I'm not an authority, but I swear, you got a trouble starting to happen on that Cypress Street development, because it must be down 25 feet. And they're starting steep slopes, and I've never even heard you talk about it. Because you voted so much stuff in here, you have no control over development. Nobody has carte blanche to development. I didn't hear you call our engineers in to check that, them building in that down into that ground like that. And that's what we normally did. We didn't use their people. We had ours. I heard Bob Norris said to the NBF people, well, we're going to have those reports, right? The heck with those reports. We're going to have our own experts on those reports when they give it to us. But if you've already said this is what the zoning's going to be, they're going to do it. And that's the mistake you made on Cypress State Street. That shouldn't be made. That's a 25-foot drop, at least. It looks like the road might cave in. If the weather turns bad and it starts to whatever it does get wet, it will cave. So I'm asking you to be a lot more responsible to the students. It's not a popularity contest. It's people's lives at stake, and it's our taxpayer dollars. And we're not $40 million in debt, so $5 don't scare you. If you got to budget it right with the bond, we know the little money we got to pay. But you're gonna keep inviting, investing in Birch Street, $500-some thousand a year. Where's the rest of the town going to be? Out those trucks go over those roads and destroy them. Please start paying attention to what the folks' needs are, because you're not. And it's very disheartening. It's a half, only one back. There are people saying they want it back, and I do too, first and third, monies. Because what you have designed is something where you can push stuff through, and people won't come back. All these pillars are dirty taxes, and we're tired of them. You need to be more transparent. And you're not. You're not. And I don't know why we didn't get a budget.
Mr. Jackson, is there any other?
Sports on American Street. I'm gonna start off on a nice comment. And that's only because I know most of the people that live and back up to Knights Out. They're thankful that the borough finally listened to somebody after approximately 30 years of, pardon my French, bitching and moaning about it, that it got fixed. Should have been fixed many, many years ago. We tried. And I've lived here 15 years. And it's been that way. You've gotten worse over the years. And I've mentioned it before. But all the residents in that block, Mulberry and Magnolia, are very thankful that somebody finally got the job done. That said, she's got it there. You look at that lot at the corner of South Mill and West State Street and tell me you don't see where it's a problem. It goes right up to, I think that's not Washington Farms. Yeah. They're no more than 5, maybe 10 feet from the edge of the road, the street, side street. And they were in there today, hauling out trucks, and I don't mean 1 or 2. I mean probably about 25 to 30 truck loads. And we're talking 25-yard dump trucks, the big, all day long. And that's on making that side, that end, the east end of that lot, very unsafe. If we get a nasty ass rainstorm, heck, y'all know it's winter time, forget about snow. Until close. But we get a damn bad rainstorm like we've had here this past year. Yeah, we're gonna have a street inside that lot. And you cannot tell me, oh, that's only 10 feet. That is cool. That's a good 25 feet from ground level down to where they have dug out. And it goes all the way from where they've got that fence on State Street. All the way up to, and it looks like it includes. I noticed I said was. It ain't there no more. So you need to have somebody keep up on this stuff. Make sure they're doing. They say they were going to be apartments. They weren't going to be very expensive. I'm sorry. I see the word luxurious, luxury. They're not for a common person like myself. For some of you that sit up there. We don't make a lot of. Majority of the people, I say 50% of the people in this community, all right, are middle to low income. And some of us live on fixed income. So you have to be careful what you do. You have to watch what you do and who you deal with. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. Something goes wrong, and somebody's hand is caught in the cookie jar or something. Every one of you will be having on your door. And it won't be the local agents. It'll be the federal agents. So keep that in mind. I try and remind you every year, 2 or 3 times. And I'm disappointed in you. Thank you.
Any other comments? Josie Marsh with White Kennett. I'm here to speak about the bike park that we talked about last month. I understand we're gonna vote on that Wednesday. So I just want to kind of refresh your memories on what we're proposing. Ever since we brought this up, we've had a lot of people that are very excited to get involved and help make this happen. So as we covered last month, we're proposing to build woodland trails and a pump track in the first phase of this bike park on the parish property that is owned by the borough, but located in the township. So that would be part of the first phase of a potentially larger project that we could add on to later. But what we are asking for this week is just the approval for that first phase to go through, which are the woodland trails and the pump track in the field. All the costs will be covered by donations and hopefully a grant we are working on. So the borough does not incur any costs. The project will be free and accessible to all. It will be an opportunity for people to improve physical and mental well-being. It will provide opportunities for local youth bike teams to practice and to get involved with maintenance. And there will be no impervious surfaces in this first phase. It will be all dirt surfaces, and we'll also be adding a pollinator garden on the inside of the pump tracks. Will not have any negative environmental impacts on the deposit. And if, like I said, if all goes well, there could be further additions, including updating the existing trail to ADA compliance, but that is not what we're looking at in this first phase. I have reviewed this project with Kent Township. They have said no permits are required. That was an action item from last month. And that's all I want to say. Just hope that on Wednesday you'll be able to approve us moving forward with this project this year. Thank you. Any other comments?
Ted McDaniel, property owner here in Kennett. I brought my 2 scouts with me. They're here.
Sir, can I have your address? Ted McDaniel, can I have your address?
313 South Broad.
Okay, thank you.
And so they're here. They're trying to get their Eagle Scout merit badge and citizenship. And we're this little guy here. He's on the bike team. So we do visit some bike tracks around. We have seen that are close by. There's one in Mays, and there's so we're excited. Do some volunteer hours and whatnot we need to do.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to the reports. With President Corcoran being out, we don't have to President's report tonight. We'll move on to our
Sure. Just a quick sure that on any of your tracks at the outflow. I think too, she also found with us Nick, who's serving with the Trip World now. It's a really great important we got because of these. I'd like to then thank Josie. You know, this is the kind of thing that I think really is great for the borough, right? You have someone organizing volunteers, using public spaces, trying to limit, you know, keep the zero all borough costs. That's a really potentially great project. If it doesn't work there, that's the kind of approach that we want to see here. So I appreciate it. Just try to clear up some of the questions that were brought up. The buildings, there were 2 proposed buildings for sale at the last meeting. There's an old Borough Hall, 120 Marshall Street. It's just behind the old library, and our current police station. Council voted to move forward with the sale of our old police station. Both were bid. They were on the market publicly since either May or June, I forget, but they were bid. we worked in the professional public economic development group, so we're working towards closing on the one. We do value transparency. The budget was presented 3 times in public, advertised. Capital improvement, which is the bigger
But
project.
it was not presented.
It was.
It was not presented here, and I said it when it has never been presented.
It was.
It has never been presented.
It was.
I line item by line item.
Yeah.
Has never been presented. I was here. And so it was a panel of people on a Monday and Wednesday, and then you know they could come and ask questions at another destination up on that following month. So let's not sit up there and try to tell these people a bunch of lies when you didn't do it. And give me the copies of it right now since you did. Pull it off those computers.
It wasn't.
We all sat here, it was not presented to us, line item by line.
Was presented 3 times. The capital improvement plan, which drives most of the spending, that's roads, buildings, big infrastructure, came up 2 times before that. We had a public budget meeting here in this room. And it was available online the whole time, line by line by line details. It's available for print. We offered that, and we've offered staff time. So that offer still stands for anyone who wants to come in, who wants any of these materials.
God knows I'm on top of it. It didn't happen.
Okay. There has been some discussion about the meeting change. There has been some discussion about the meeting change. So the borough used to go, because we have some new people here. The borough used to meet every other Monday. And you consider things and you vote on them the same. So now the borough meets every first Monday and the Wednesday that follows. And the reason is that on Monday, we don't take votes. So if there's an issue, somebody has an issue, somebody finds out this is crazy, we have an opportunity to come for the Wednesday meeting, so we haven't voted yet. So it's delaying the vote period. It's a couple of days, but it's delaying it, so if there is an issue, we don't vote on it before we see that. So that was the rationale. It was for transparency. And the site, the site was approved, the West State Street was approved 2 years ago. We do contract with a local inspector who's done it for, I don't know, 30 to 35 years. So he's on site regularly going through it. And we also have Terry from our department who has what 20 years of experience.
Quit lying, quit lying. Quit lying. So we've all been here and haven't heard any of this. I had to ask you what you were selling. No one here knew when you were selling the Borough building in Marsh Street. The police station, I mean, no one knew.
We had a public vote.
You did not present a vote to say we're going to sell it now and have pictures of. You might have to be behind the scenes. You have not had it. Yes, you do. I'm over here. And I'm taking notes and I haven't seen any of that.
Just one last note. We did vote to list the companies with CCEDC, which is Chester County Economic Development. So they serve as the third party non-benefit economic development. So lower sale or leasing rates. So those are just a few kind of updates on that. Happy to see everyone here. And if there are any questions, feel free to reach out.
Thanks, Brian. Mr. Solicitor.
Yeah, no, nothing in addition to the stuff that's on the rest of the agenda that I'll cover when we get to it. Thank you.
Mr. Burton.
I did submit a report to council along with a closeout of December and also a total 22 closeout. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer anything anybody may have of that.
Thank you. Is there anybody from Kennett Fire Company?
They're not, they actually have their executive board meeting tonight. Gina emailed me just before the meeting and said that she wasn't going to be able to attend, but they would be at the next one.
Committee.
Sure. Finance committee met on December 15th. The light meeting, since we had already voted and passed the budget. Our primary topic was setting a 2023 calendar and schedule of deliverables for the year, including setting priorities and monthly and quarterly financial reviews to committee and council, and
Municipal Relations Committee will be starting this month. It's on the calendar. Third and fourth Wednesday of the month.
It's the fourth.
Fourth.
Yeah.
And we're gonna restructure it. So.
The Regional Fire and EMS Commission met in December. It was a very brief meeting. We finalized the budget that we discussed back in November. It was a short meeting. We were in and out in 20 minutes. We are meeting again tomorrow night, at which time there's going to be a presentation on capital equipment needs and a long-range plan for capital equipment, which we'll be reviewing. The Regional Fire and EMS Commission meetings are open to the public. They are at 5 p.m. at Pennsbury Township, and anyone is welcome to attend.
Thank you. And then Personnel committee. This one. Our first administration item is to consider the ordinance for parking.
Sure. So this has been advertised for a public hearing on Wednesday. It amends our subdivision land development ordinance to make sure that we can use those park and rec impact fees that developers have to pay to us when they come in with different projects. So we can use them to the full extent that Pennsylvania law allows. So I'm going to back up one step. It's been allowed as a park and rec fee use for years and years. And about 6 or 7 years ago, the state code was updated to expand what you can use those fees for. So it's not just acquiring new park facilities, but it's also maintaining the cost to maintain your existing parks. And this is just catching up our local ordinance so that we can fully use those fees. Otherwise, those fees sit in a segregated account only used for no purpose.
Any council discussion?
Just that we control how those fees are.
That's correct, you do. Yes. Yep.
Are there any objections to council? Move that to consent. And then our next item is the permanent access and utility easement.
I could jump in on this one because I think it came from Rob, but there was a pump station discovered that couldn't find documentation on an easement for a particular property for it. So we drafted one up. We've got the signature of the landowner. It just memorializes what is already in existence on that property for our sewer facilities. And make sure that our folks have the right and the ability to get in there when they need to get in there, do any fixes.
And this stays with the property.
It does, yes. This will be recorded with the county and then it runs with the land.
And we didn't notice that we need to access the property or.
I think it's a reasonable notice period. Obviously, if it's an emergency, we need to get on there. We're going to need to get on there. And of course, anything we do to the property, we'd have to remediate and fix the surface areas.
Any council discussion? Any objections, any to consent? Our next item is to consider conditional offers of employment.
Thank you. Excuse me. So the staff report submitted along with the two conditional offers. This is a culmination of completion of the subsurface testing process. The council had accepted and approved the eligibility and the hiring list that was provided by the Civil Service Commission in December. And based off of this certified hiring list, Mayor Fedek and I are now requesting the council approve these two conditional offers, which I've submitted for your review. Both positions that we're adding to the police department have been approved and planned for within the 2023 PD budget. And as well as this is sort of a culmination of a change for our operating model. We have done away with our part-time staffing requirement, and we have made that additional position a full-time position.
Council discussion?
So this is to make them an offer at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not the beginning.
This is, they have to, within the conditional offer, they still have to meet some of the requirements. They have to meet all the requirements of MOPEC, which is Municipal Police Officer Training Commission, which all do. Both are active police officers already. Still have to go through a psychological evaluation, but we have actually completed the other requirements.
Just one question based on our last meeting, I know that someone else expressed a desire to see candidates that want Spanish speaking, given our demographics. Do you know, can you share what our screens?
No, to my understanding, neither candidate is fluent in Spanish. And I know that was actually a concern from Councilmember Norris as well, reviewing this. Unfortunately, we are bound by the Borough Code as far as our hiring requirements. We did try and seek out additional candidates that were, bilingual. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough that came forward for the testing process. Actually, we didn't have any that came forward for this testing process.
Any objections from council? Our next item is to consider the contract for recommended firm for brokerage services.
Thank you. Over the last month, the borough's been accepting offered open bids to serve as either a broker for this building or a company maintenance provider for this. So, as you may or may not be aware, about half of the space is available for rent or sale. Obviously we need a company to maintain it for us. At this time, the Public Works Director and our Assistant Director have been doing the maintenance. But the council has shown a really strong commitment to improving the capital of our town. Those projects all run through those two people. So it's really important to us if this really is like the future priority, which it really is, we need to free up the people who all the capital projects pass through. So that's the thinking here on the property maintenance side. If I could just take a little longer here, this is the first time the borough is doing a bid with this process that I think is worth noting and talking about because I hope that we can take it. So for both of these proposals, we took in offers from private firms. So they gave us their proposal. We have them up here, but looks something like that. And myself and two staff members, our finance director, our assistant city manager, reviewed all of the proposals. So 3 for brokerage and 2 for property maintenance. And then we held a recorded meeting of the 3 of us available. If anyone wants to listen to it. Not very interesting, but you can listen to it. We reviewed all the proposals and voted on them based on criteria. So experience, how do they fit with the borough, and kind of what are their community inputs, if you will. And what it ended up with is that we are recommending SSH, which is a really large property maintenance firm. They have about 100 people locally, local as West for maintenance, and we're recommending combination brokerage firm, Emory Hill, which is more of a wider regional firm, and Borough, is very small, very local. Can I ask a question?
Okay.
I think it's important. And if you vote on this for Wednesday, can you exclude anybody that's already made a proposal? Yes, that's a good point. Yes. So you still have to pay them for something. Yeah, we remind it as.
So we've already been talking to the arts, the arts, that they be excluded from this proposal so that we would not have, they would probably still fall under CD.
They would, so, to your point, to John's point, like the school district, the theater group from Westchester, a substance abuse provider, and a substance abuse counselor. They would all fall underneath our existing group. There's value to that because CC's rate is lower than what we're agreeing to. It is about one of the signs the people that have already been here, both sides have been pulled. Yep, so the people proposing no, and Yeah, I mean, something about what's already done. But there are a lot of people that have made proposals before that. You know, they don't have to go to anybody if they want to. They already, yeah, they do that. And at least as well, on Wednesday, you'll get to see kind of the final step in this process, which is a standard agreement that Mike Crotty has drafted up. So the thing you need here, everything that we do is to have a contract. And you just simply slide the scope into it. So that's, you go into the scope and it gets a standardized.
I have a question, 'cause I'm still not, I'm not 100% sure I understand the scope. Is the recommendation that SSH provides property maintenance and the leasing services?
Just property maintenance. So the brokerage, would be sale and leasing would be Henry Hill.
And then,
That was your recommendation from. Preliminary.
so the leasing, so what's the proposal on who the leasing? is?
You said on the phone, the phone leases, that would be Henry Hill. And then once everyone's on board, you would hand off.
The leasing. We have X amount of square foot available for leasing. The entity that is going to do a tenant find and screening is SSH or is it Farmore?
That's Henry Hill.
Or Emily Hill? Okay, and then once they're in, who's collecting the rents and who's the property manager?
Sorry, so I should, it would still be done, the maintenance would be necessary.
Who's,
So they would still be, they would take in the checks, they would deal with that.
so the property manager proposal, leasing entity within the management. The management piece is who? Based on your recommendation.
The management of the lease itself.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're putting the fines. So I thought you were saying who repairs the light bulbs. That would be
So, right, so generally there's usually one property management company. They find a tenant, they fill the space, they collect the rents, and they field all the phone calls for maintenance. Who is that entity?
Well, as we have it now, it's two separate firms. So, council, and
So what was the thinking of two separate entities managing?
well, they're managing different services. And one is taking in the rent and the other one is doing this.
Yeah. Usually, in a typical, typically the property management company chooses and selects the maintenance company. It makes a recommendation on that. So that my first, space A is empty. And company A is going to market that space at a market rate. They're going to lease it, they're going to sign the lease contracts, and they're going to collect the rents. And the tenant calls and says, the elevator's not working. They're going, what company is the property management company?
That will be the essence.
So they're the property, they're collecting the rents,
I think it's easier to say they're facilities.
which is separate from,
Who's going to pay the bills? So that would be the person collecting the rent. Basically, money, finances on one side, facilities on the other.
so who's the property, who's the property manager?
The facilities or the rent?
Well, in real estate world, it means one thing. Property manager is whoever we contract with, to collect the rents and manage the property.
So this would be two separate.
I think that's a problem. And it's a problem to hold somebody accountable to something that they can't control. And I think you could recommend to the property management company a preferred provider. but I think it's a little difficult too. Between Car-Mart's, so Car-Mart's one company, and then we hold another one. Which one is the leasing entity?
They're sharing.
So they did one proposal together? They did one proposal together?
Yeah.
Okay.
So council wants, you can recommend that we do one.
Any other council? Any objections to make this?
I think we need more.
Responsive. You put two groups in between, so they can get to you. So not can be wrong before it gets to you. But then when it gets to you, it's not that stuff. And that might be just financial.
There's certainly a lot to go through those three proposals, two separate proposals as well. Yeah, so you consider the consent.
It doesn't feel like they each propose on the same criteria. Like that's, I'm having a hard time comparing what one is doing compared to the other,
Right, and I've only, just had it for a day or two. So far, so.
So we have a part eight of that, which is, consider the contract for maintenance services. We covered it, so we'll move that out. As well. And our next item is to consider resolution for 2023 as scheduled.
Sure, this is annual. Officers. For secretary, it's Rachel Berkowitz. The treasurer is Nick Pacino. Open records officer is also Rachel. And records only they react, sort of a parallel track is the chief.
Are any of these appointments different than last year?
Nick, treasurer because of the
Moving it to the back.
No.
And then a resolution, so it's to consider 2023 professional service.
Yep.
I'm sorry. 2023 emergency service.
And so this designates the component for fire services, along with the services, police department for police. This is another.
Council discussion. So now, consider the resolution for 2023 professional service. And
This is the rate structure for the above service. Always legal.
we discussed on
When did you these other, those, urban services zoning, the other two firms out here, one of it. So, Arthur Foley and,
Yeah, so Brucher Foley, I think it was Neil Land, was kind of stays as backup counsel for the borough in case we ever have a conflict. They also stepped in between the transition from a couple of years ago from the prior firm and our firm, just generally representing the borough. My understanding from back then is they're not interested in any kind of full solicitorship. They want to keep themselves kind of in a little box. Hangley or Onchek, they are the I believe they're the sewer and utility attorneys that represent the borough.
Just to clarify as well, these are contracts, like every contract we have with borough council, which is to change whatever they can do that, it's not law. It's just, we need to set the rates.
Just didn't know what we used.
Objections by the consent? And then our, next item, consider resolution.
Sure, so we went through myself and staff went through the various documents and that were left over in the old Borough building. Make sure that we preserved everything that was required to be preserved through the Pennsylvania Record Retention Act, and to set up for destruction anything that needed to be destroyed because it was too old. And what we have before you is a resolution that goes through from those various files from the old Borough building. The documents that were not retained were destroyed, either because they had mold or were kind of, sometimes some of them were so waterlogged you couldn't open them. It was actually a pretty narrow category, but the vast majority of these were disposed of just because they were so old. But everything, all the important stuff still has to be maintained according to there's a state schedule for it that the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission puts out. And so everything's checked against that. And this resolution just memorializes what was disposed of.
Any council discussion?
Okay, thank you.
How do you recommend the resolution to approve destroying stuff that makes no sense?
So these documents were all reviewed both by each of the department heads as well as by legal to make sure that they fit within the parameters of the Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission. This just memorializes that action.
It just covers somebody.
No, it just does exactly what I said, which is memorializes what was disposed of because it was no longer qualifying as being retained under the act.
Consider 2023 council board commission.
Sure, so this was, you know, by the total. So, credit to her, this is a combined council, board, commission, committee meeting schedule. We'll add this to our Borough meeting. So it's review pretty.
Question, fire maintenance committee, unless I know how, like, borough specific, does that matter?
They advertise on their own. So, and I checked with them. I mean, when I got their form and their schedule, it did say at the bottom that it had been advertised. Normally, we wouldn't put it on that schedule anyway, because it's not a borough, but yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any objections from the members of the staff? Our next item is to consider the resignation of Louise Kovar from Borough Council.
So we received, I think, H and I up here, resignations from Luis Cavar and Luis Lopez from. So I believe tomorrow should be my meeting. What to advertise.
I guess we'll do those two together. Is there any council discussion?
It's a shame that we stepped down, but put in plenty of time and effort and did great work. We need this for so much.
Any objections from the members of the staff? And then consider conceptual design for church.
Yeah, so I'd ask that we have this presentation. Say, the request here is a vote from the council to move forward. With conceptual design. And I think it's one to presentation, Rob, Denise from the public works team, and one of them engineer put together a pretty comprehensive presentation. It's in the temple. The thinking here is where we have a sense from an aerial perspective, we have a sense of what right of way we need. But we want to make sure you're comfortable with the general outline of it before we dig into some real engineering costs. Get into, the 60 line.
Council discussion?
Can I just say something? I'm trying to live on Street. or street. There are a lot of people on my street come up to me and ask me if they will be compensated for anything that the borough is taking away. I understand from the own meetings that that is. them. But I think on Wednesday, when everybody comes here, there's going to be those questions are going to be asked as part of that finalization. I think some people are looking for credit on their taxes. If that's something that can be done. I'm just speaking for the point of view of the people that, I live next to. And, I think they will come here on Wednesday to ask their question.
That's a great question. Just to clarify, under the current iteration, I think it's number 7 of this plan. There's no residential plan. And we did that out of concern for resident space and value. And I will note in the current plan, 3 property owners, commercial property owners have offered to dedicate land to make this possible. So that's appreciated there. Mike in the back is one of them. So to your question, residential landowners are not being asked to forfeit land. The only clarification is that the right of way does come onto grass. So it may look like you're losing what you're not, but it may look like it because people often assume the right of way is part of the property. So we'll definitely walk through that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's good. Thank you.
Any other council discussion?
So you said that not, is there going to be a vote on this on Wednesday?
The request is to have a vote. But since we typically have workshops at the end of Wednesday, they're not voted. The ask here is that we keep that voting session open through that presentation. Vote, and then technically go over. So we don't have a notification voting.
We don't really want to discuss this, but we want to see the presentation.
So I guess by virtue of that, it would not be. Bills will review at the December Finance Committee meeting, and are recommended to pay that shown.
This is a usually long list of things.
Is that really especially longer than the previous?
Approval of council meeting minutes.
Sure, yeah, this is just to those comments.
Not much.
Yep.
I wanted to thank Sunny and the staff for announcing first quarterly newsletter that we got out for the fall, and it's supposed to bring the transparency that everyone's looking for and information out to your home. Sunny literally walked it to every house. So thank you. Hope you have something. I hope the wedding was good.
It's not as young as I. So.
Look forward to having more.
Great. Well, with that wraps us up for today, and we'll continue on Wednesday for our next question session.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we need 4 there.
Okay.
Do it, I think that was November 7, November 9. I was trying to think like that. Doug, Timothy, or just because otherwise we'd only have 3.
Sure, unless you want to keep that, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
But it's never one October 1. There were all there.
Thank you. I wouldn't have known that. So I appreciate it.